Hello and welcome to my 100th attempt to complete this video. Let's see if this is gonna be the time I actually complete it in the under 15 minutes. Okay, so first of all, I would like to give an outline of my presentation. And first, I would like to start off by briefly summarizing the two articles I've been working with, and then I will give a analytical approach by reviewing the articles through the rhetorical pentagon. And finally, I would like to compare the two articles to each other to contextualize the article with the theme and the refugee crisis. So the first article revolves around the lack of responsibility that Europe have been taking in this refugee crisis. It claims that 1 in 40 refugee dies attempting to cross the Mediterranean Sea in these overloaded dinghies, and it criticized the lack of Europe's international responsibilities as one of the world's wealthiest and richest regions. And it comes on the fact that Europe as a region haven't been able to control the refugee flow, even though the article also claims that Europe haven't even spread out the numbers of refugees evenly, as a, like, sorry, by countries. It claims that Italy and Greece have been continuous to struggle with the large number of refugees due to the law called Dublin Regulation, which determines that a refugee must be preceded by the first European country they set foot in. Um, so that is like the law over. That is the law. And this second article, it revolves around the lax controls and borders in Europe. It claims that 1.8 million refugees illegally crossed the borders in 2015, which is 6 times more than 2014. And it says that this mass migration allows terrorists to sneak into Europe. It claims that a lot of jihadists take advantage of the lax borders, and the article actually includes analysis from Frontex, um, which says that the attack in Paris that happened in 2015 were caused by terrorists using the lax borders. And it says that a majority of the illegal entries were done by Syrian nationals, and it says that the high number of illegal crossing are done by the same people over and over again. So it also shows that there are some lack of controls. So yeah, and now to my analysis. And by doing the analysis, I would go. I can't remember the word. I will go systematically. There was it. Systematically through the Pentagon. So when looking at the subject in the first article, the overall theme here is that refugees, like how the refugees are handled at that moment or today. So, and the author here in the first article is the Observer editorial, and it was written and published by the newspaper Observer. And the Observer is like the Guardian, very political active, but the Observer is more social liberal than the Guardian, which is much more liberal. So the article was written on Sunday, 9th of July 2017. And the whole occasion here, like the circumstances, is that the whole context revolves around the refugee crisis. And the audience here can actually be separated into two groups. The primary audience, which is the citizens of United Kingdom. Firstly, because it is in their language. It is an English newspaper, and then the secondary audience would be the rest of the countries within Europe, um, because it talks so general about the problem that is happening in Europe. So every country would might read this because it also talks to them. And the whole purpose of this article is firstly to inform about the problem and its point of view, but also it's about convincing the audience to have the same point of view as the newspaper. And it can be shown by looking at the adjectives used in the article, such as shameful, dreadful, pitiful, hopelessly, and immemorial. So most words are connected to shame, so all are like negative words. And the tone and the language here, I will go through. First of all, the vocabulary. There are used some difficult words here, like evaporated, catastrophological, no, catastrophic. Sorry, I can't pronounce. I just had that word. I just had it in my head, but I can't pronounce it now. And jeopardize. So, and these words aren't easy to pronounce as shown. Otherwise, the rest of the article is way easier to read. It's more like it's just way easier to read. And they have used some words that sound more formal than others, even though they mean the same. Like instead of using shows, they use represents, and instead of using unfair, they use injustice. Means the same, just sounds more intelligent. And the sentences are quite long, which gives a feeling that the writer is also very intelligent. And the language here is formal because there's no use of I and there's no contraction of words. And there are some rhetorical devices used in the article, such as metaphors. The pressure cooker, like something is going to explode, something is going to be really, really bad very soon. Like it's about to point to where it overlaps and just goes bad. And they use imagery, like they use overloaded dangers, which give us a picture in our head with this boat, with people just like crawling around, not enough space, and just put a picture in our head. And the second article, the subject here, the overall theme in the article is that the borders are not effective enough. And the author here in the second article actually has a name, is James Locke, and it was published in the Daily Mail, and it is a very right-wing newspaper, and it can be seen in their immigration policy. They want the borders to be closed, or at least very difficult to cross. And the article was written on 5th of April 2016. And the occasion here was actually, it was written when the refugee crisis was at its highest, so maybe that's why they have this point of view. And the audience here can also be separated into two, just as the other one. Like you have the primary audience, which is connected to the citizens in UK, because it is a newspaper in their language and it was published there. And the secondary audience is the rest of the countries within Europe, because it's also a problem for them. So, and the purpose here is also to inform that there is a problem, but it is also to convince us to think the same way as they do. Like, they use words like lax, sneak, and devastating, like all negative words, when they describe how people get into Europe. They use the word sneak. Sounds very bad. It's not something you want people to do. You don't want people to sneak into your house or something. It's a very bad word. And lax, coming of relax, is not a good thing. If you want you want borders not to be relaxed, you want them to be strict or knowing what they're doing. And the language here, the vocabulary, there are not used a lot of difficult words. In the second article, luckily for me, they have used though the demonstrated instead of shows, and that was like the only thing I could find that would mean the same, but just to show a more formal and clever word instead of shows. The sentences are really long, quite weirdly enough, and it kind of also gives the audience a feeling like this James Lark is actually quite intelligent, since he can make sentences like 3 or 5 sentences long. And the language is actually formal, I would say, because there's no use of I, there's no use of contraction of words. And there's only been using one device, rhetorical device, and is that imagery again, when he says plunge into criminal underworld. Like, you get a picture of a person plunge into the underworld. Like, it's not gonna happen that way, but you get a picture of it. So now I would like to compare the two texts. Well, they both have they both want to tell there's a problem. They just do it in a really different way. Like, one article wants every country in Europe to take some responsibility and take some part of the refugees into their own country. So even out the majority of refugees. And the other one just want it to be closed. And it clearly shows what direction, like this, even the same, like even two articles in the same country can have two different like point of views on this problem. So that's kind of interesting to see that they, even though they have a different point of view, when looking at today's refugee crisis, they have been doing something like Brexit. Like, UK want to get out of Europe because they don't want any more refugees. They want to abandon them, just leave that to the rest of Europe. But also we have also done, like the first article said, each country have been taking more and more refugees in, and we have been spreading it out more, trying at least to be spreading out more evenly. So that was all I had to say. Finally, I did it under 15 minutes. So proud. It just took too many attempts, but sorry if I delivered this too late. Please don't be mad at me. Sorry. Bye.